Howdy everyone, it's me, Detective Drizzleboy. Today we're gonna be talking about a very sad thing that happened recently. In the news, there was a little girl who was recently targeted with harassment by a musician pop star named Chappell Roan. I'm not too familiar with Chappell Roan's work. I think I saw her on the Billboard. It was a song called Pink Pony Club. I looked up a clip today, and it looked like kind of like a Sesame Street kind of thing, like a little like kind of kids song. So to me, it was like really sad to see that somebody who makes music designed for children, for an audience of people who really just gravitate towards that music, but treats children in real life like this. I think that's actually quite sad. It looks like she's charted high with multiple songs and has like millions of streams. So at the end of the day, she's a very big success by the metrics of the music industry. I personally asked my partner, my husband, if he knew who she was either. He said that he didn't recognize her or her image. So we kind of just like really had to dive into who this person was and why she felt the need to do something like this. So we're going to be going through all the details and what's already been made by the public statements, and talk about what resolution will come out of this. I don't think someone should be able to do what she did and just get away with it. I look at security teams, like private security teams, as, in a way similar to law enforcement. Like, I think that it should be taken as seriously that, if there was some sort of harassment from a police officer, towards a child, I think that that has legal ramifications. I think the most tragic thing about this is that nobody would really know about this story had this not been the child of a famous soccer player. The incident of targeted harassment occurred towards the child of football player Jorginho Frello. So I'm gonna go into his statement he posted on Instagram now. I'm gonna read through the entire thing and then we're gonna analyze. I went through a very upsetting situation with my family earlier today. My wife is in Sao Paulo for Lollapalooza, Brazil. This morning, my daughter woke up incredibly excited. She even made a sign because she was so happy to see an artist she really admires or used to admire, Chappell Roan. By coincidence, they're staying at the same hotel as the artist. During breakfast, the artist walked past their table. My daughter, like any child, recognized her and got excited, and she really just wanted to make sure it was really her. And the worst part is, she didn't even approach her. She simply walked past the singer's table, looked to confirm it was her, smiled, and went back with her mom. She didn't say anything, didn't ask for anything. What happened next was completely disproportionate. A large security guard came over to their table while they were still having breakfast and began speaking in an extremely aggressive manner to both my wife and my daughter, saying that she shouldn't allow my daughter to disrespect or harass other people. Honestly, I don't know at what point simply walking past a table and looking to see if someone is there is considered harassment. He even said he would file a complaint against them with the hotel while my 11-year-old daughter was sitting there in tears. My daughter was extremely shaken and cried a lot. I've lived with football, public exposure, and well known people for many years, and I understand very well what respect and boundaries are. What happened there was not that. It was just a child admiring someone. It's sad to see this kind of treatment coming from those who are understand the importance of fans. At the end of the day, they are the one who built all this. I sincerely hope this serves as a moment of reflection. No one should have to go through this, especially not a child. Chappell Roan, without your fans, you will be nothing. And to the fans, she does not deserve your affection. And you can really see how hurt this man is. It is very sad to see that she chose to take these actions because, as you know, I don't think that there is any scenario where this is okay. No one should be sending their security detail to threaten a child in this kind of manner. And I'm going to break down each different section and kind of go into why I think that this might actually be a legal crime. Now, I think that it's important to know that just because you're a fan of Chappell Roan, that you should look at this objectively. I think that it's important within the lens of legal matter that even if you are a Chappell Roan fan whoever you are, I think that maybe you should sit this one back and really just listen to what the facts are. If Chappell Roan is, actually did this, we gotta look at it through that lens. I believe this child is a victim. So to me, it's like I really want to say, hey, we gotta give the victim the benefit of the doubt. To jump here and say the child is lying is absolutely crazy. Like, that is absolutely crazy to me, because I think the mom has no reason to lie either. If they were both at the same breakfast, all in the same vicinity, I don't think both the mom and the child are lying about the experience. And if they were lying, I think Chappelle could have easily cleared this up and said, hey, that's not how this happened. But it seemed like, in later statements, she doubles down. So we're going to get into that later. But let's continue dissecting and kind of talking about the counter arguments to what happened. Let's address the elephant in the room. We do know for a fact that this happened, that the security guard came over to the child and the mom and told them, hey, you were harassing my artist, my client. I'm going to report you to the hotel for disrupting and harassing my client. So that's pretty much something that we do know for a fact, because, Chappell Roan also made a statement. So we know that the security detail did in fact get involved. So let's talk about counter arguments, right? So the counter argument to this is that, the little girl, the 11-year-old girl, did in fact harass Chappell Roan at this breakfast that required an action of sending a security guard and threatening to either kick out or report to the hotel for disrupting the artist's stay. So the definition of harassment is defined legally as unwanted, unwelcome, and uninvited behavior, including words, actions, gestures that threatens, intimidates, or demeans a person, causing substantial emotional distress without a legitimate purpose. It is often defined of a course of conduct or employment context as severe, persuasive behavior, including a hostile environment. So when you hear Jorginho's story, I think to me, it's like, I don't see anywhere where this could possibly be harassment. I don't know where a child smiling at you, or even if she stopped at the table and just stared for a little bit and then walked away, it's like, okay, kids are kids. Kids can do weird things sometimes, and it's like, you just gotta be an adult in these situations. This woman was so offended by this little girl smiling at her that she felt the need to send a security guard over there. And if it wasn't her specifically, that means it was someone in her team. A security guard probably wouldn't act independently. I don't see a world where a security guard is threatening a child and the mom to, actually try to kick them out of a hotel and report them to the hotel if it wasn't discussed internally at their team. If they're all sitting together at a table, how would Chappelle feel harassed? How would the security guard know if she felt harassed without it coming out of Chappell Roan's mouth? And if she didn't feel harassed, she would have come out and said, hey, I didn't feel harassed about this. I have no idea why my security guard did that. So, at the end of the day, it was clearly a team decision. When I was on Twitter, I saw a lot of people have some very brain dead takes. And I think the biggest one to me is that, oh, well, this was the security guard's actions, not Chappell Roan's. If the security guard is employed under Chappell Roan and is acting under her supervision, under her guidance, you can't just do whatever you want as a security detail. There is legal repercussions for what you do. And I actually think it's very ironic that she did all this, because these actions that she made was blatant harassment and intimidation. The tactics that she used with her security detail was blatant harassment and intimidation towards this child. I see a lot of parallels to this, to police brutality and, police force harassment. Because to me, a security detail, I don't know the level of authority her security detail has. I think that private security details can kind of a little bit get away with too much, in my opinion, which is kind of, crazy. I don't think any world where this should be allowed, especially in a foreign country, even though the child wasn't physically hurt, that this kind of experience was probably psychologically damaging. that an experience like this does not just go away. And that's the kind of parallel to police harassment to me, is that, you know, police are trained, or supposed to be trained. They're not. They're supposed to be trained to, you know, try not to psychologically traumatize kids in the process of doing police operations. So to me, it's, you know, quite telling that, you know, she decided to, either her or her team decided to send this security officer to, you know, try to ruin this little girl's life. So that's really the stance I have on the harassment side of things. I do think that this was psychologically damaging enough for this little girl to you know, take legal action, in that I personally would take legal action against. I think people rightfully have a reason to be upset with Chappell Roan. I think I have every right to believe that this person is a terrible person. I have every right to believe as well that this little girl is going to have to deal with a lot of struggles for the rest of her life, knowing how public this has become as well, that this harassment case is going to take up her entire life. And the fact that this is the child of a very famous soccer player is like, wow, imagine what she does when it's not a famous person's child. Imagine what stories have not come out about this hostile work environment where this girl is sending her security team to threaten people. For what? Because you felt threatened by a little girl because you was scared? And the fact that she makes children's music, Pink Pony Club. You better not smile at Yo Gabba Gabba or we gonna send a squad in. Dora the Explorer, she got a Glock in her pack. These kids is snitching. Swiper, Red, Jojo, Siwa, Snipers, Lethal. Don't smile at me. These kids is evil. I wanna see her go through the legal system of Sao Paulo. You know, I know that she gonna do some fuck shit in America. She gonna get the judges, pay them off, you know. Oh, did I say too much? Allegedly. I'm just kidding, y'all. I'm just kidding. She would not pay off the judge because this case is going to take place in Sao Paulo. So this is actually enacted a government response. The mayor of the city that Chappell Roan performed at in Lollapalooza, Brazil, has spoken out, stating that he would never let Chappell Roan perform again in the city as long as he is mayor. So this is actually has a government response. So if you're still sitting here saying this little girl made it up, the soccer player made it up, and the mom made it up, you're delusional. I will no longer take your opinion seriously. No one else is taking your opinion seriously. Let's stick to the facts. The fact that the security guard did in fact approach them in this aggressive, harassing manner. So I'm going to read the statement that Chappell Roan put out. I confirmed with multiple sources that this was posted on her story, but quickly deleted due to backlash. So let me read her redacted statement. I've seen the recent backlash. I have been receiving a lot of messages about the situation. I want to start by saying that I have always been very clear about my boundaries. When I'm on stage performing in drag, at work events, or doing press, I am working. Outside of that, I am not in work mode. I'm a person. I'm allowed to exist privately. I just woke up. I deserve my space, especially in moments like breakfast. I don't play about my breakfast. This does not take away from the gratitude and love I have for my supporters. I appreciate the people who respect my boundaries and understand that admiration does not equal access. Respectfully, please understand that boundaries are not personal, they are necessary. Wow, that was a lot to unpack. So we're gonna go line by line and really talk about the individual things she says and kind of dissect her side of the story versus the other side. So basically her perspective is, yes, this did in fact happen, but you see, I have boundaries and she was overstepping my boundaries, and therefore it warranted the response of threatening the child with harassment and also potentially kicking her out of the hotel and reporting the incident to the hotel. Now, Chappell, I have one question for you. I think it's quite selfish that this woman decided to put out this statement, because at the end of the day, what about this little girl's boundaries? This little girl just walked past her table. She could have not even been trying to, talk to or even know who Chappell Roan was. Again, a lot of people don't know who this character is. I barely even know who she was. I only recognize her because her name was in some sort of billboard thing. I don't think her boundaries should overstep this little girl's boundaries. When did this little girl consent to being harassed by your security detail? Even if this little girl walked up and started screaming, Chappell Roan, Chappell Roan, at the end of the day, a child cannot control all of their actions. We talk about how minors can't make a lot of decisions for themselves, that they need legal protection. What kind of protection does this child have that you chose the need to do all this? Like, what boundaries did you overstep in the process to protect your boundaries? I want to know exactly what this child did to offend you so much that you had to send a security detail to harass her. Now let's move on to the next line. When I'm on stage performing in drag at a work event, yada yada, whatever. So at the end of the day, she was at a work event. If you're walking around with a security detail, I think that you are in work mode. Let's keep it a buck. You are on a work event. You are at the hotel you're staying at for a work event. You might not be actively working, but at the same time, what response does this valid? Just because you're not working, you get to act like the motherfucking child mafia? I'm not working, bitch. You can't look at me. Who the fuck you think you are? This is very much so privileged white woman. I'm going to keep it real. I am white, so I think that it's like you can recognize some privileges you have as an American person who has so much wealth. You have so much wealth, you're an American, you're in another country, and you're deciding to ruin this foreign girl's life. And this would be just as bad if this was an American girl as well. At the end of the day, it is just an awful thing to do as a human being. But I think it's more so stating that it's like, if she feels comfortable doing this when she's in other countries, or when, the cameras are off, imagine what else she does behind the scenes. Imagine what other children that she has hurt or abused, potentially, allegedly. I do think this is harassment, and I consider that a form of abuse, and she was, in fact, involved in this. I am a person, and I'm allowed to exist privately. So is this little girl, right? And this is what I like to call gaslighting. So this person is putting their right to exist over this little girl. The little girl was excited because she recognized the artist, walked past the table, smiled, even if she smiled like at her for 10 seconds, and Chappelle was like, why is this little girl smiling at me? Shoo. Like, the security detail, if they felt so harassed, if Chappell Roan felt so harassed, she should have made it clear in that moment. Say, hey, can you not bother me right now? I'm trying to eat my breakfast. Or even the security detail could have shooed the child off, and not valid a response where they need to send the security officer to threaten the little girl and the mom. And again, the little girl did nothing wrong, but even in a scenario where the little girl is acting up, that is not on Chappell Roan to be sitting here, dishing out punishments to children. I just woke up. I deserve my space, especially in moments like breakfast. I don't play about my breakfast. Now, this is really just, I honestly can't believe, sometimes it's like people just conjure words, and it's like, I can't believe you just did that. I really can't believe those are the words you conjured, seeing the damage that you did. I mean, wow. This just really, to me, confirms the kind of person Chappell Roan is, the kind of character profile she is, but also, the fact that the actions that he stated are correct. If she was like, wow, I can't believe this actually happened, that my security detail did that, or that wow, that I didn't feel harassed. Why would the security detail say that? No, she's basically saying, flat out confirming it. She throwing the shots at the little girl. It is my breakfast. Do not walk past me. Do not smile at me. Do not stare. Do not even be in my presence. Because, little girl, this is too much. I am harassed. I am disrespected. I can't believe you did that. My security team is going to threaten to kick you out, all right? They're going to threaten to report this to the hotel as my client's stay is being, invalidated. Her right to exist privately. She can't exist. Chappell Roan cannot exist because of this little girl. This little girl made Chappell Roan disappear, so we have to do something about that. So that's really what Chappell Roan's statement says. I don't know how else you could honestly interpret that. I really can't. She's doubling down and, really backing up this beef. We might see a diss track out of her. I don't know how that would go. I mean, I could try to freestyle one. Let me try to freestyle the Chappell Roan diss track. You make me don't exist. Don't disrespect me, kid. Yo, pink ponies, rainbow glitter. I haven't had my breakfast. I haven't had my dinner. My boundaries busting. Say. Didn't say no words, but I can tell I hate you. I'm white trash. Don't play. No rainbow sunshines. I'll ruin your day. I'm not at work. My security great. They getting paid while these kids is crazy. I'm Chappell Roan. We got beef still, baby. I call that one gaslight, girl boss. I hate children. So we're gonna keep moving on now. So I really just don't want to hear none of the people on the Twitters, trying to defend Chappell Roan, because, we've kind of already seen her admit that this did in fact happen. We've seen a government response. I don't know what more evidence you need to know that Chappell Roan specifically targeted and harassed this child. I also think there's a sense of defamation. She made claims that the child was harassing her for walking past her and threatened to take, action, legal action, like trying to get the hotel involved and reporting it. That is absolutely insane. There's really nothing else to talk about here. Like, she admitted it. Like, she admitted she did it. This is a really awful thing to do. I'm sure that she does a lot of this behavior that we don't get to see, and that we really only saw this happen because someone famous had this happen to them. I actually think that the sad part is, had this been a random child, even if this came out publicly, the child would not have support at all, because it's like a lot of people like to bury those kind of stories. The only reason she is responding and confirming that this event happened is because it is someone famous, and she's standing her ground and saying, hey, I need to exist. I don't exist when these kids walk past me. I need my breakfast. So, that's her response. That's her defense against all this. I don't think there's anything else to say. I mean, when you're dumb as bolts, like, there's really, I mean, wow. I'm just going to play the clip of her thanking her security team at her Lollapalooza performance. Basically dissing and subbing the child. Because she know damn well that this event happened. So she released another video I just saw on Twitter. It says that, she said that she didn't see the child. She didn't even know this happened. And the security guard went completely rogue.
I'm just gonna tell my half of the story of what happened today with a mother and child who were involved with a security guard who is not my personal security. I didn't even see a woman and a child. Like, no one came up to me. No one bothered me. Like, I was just sitting at breakfast in my hotel. I think these people were staying at the hotel as well. So the fact that, like, a security guard I did not ask the security guard to go up and talk to this mother and child. They did not come up to me. They weren't doing anything. It's unfair for security to just assume someone doesn't have good intentions when they have no reason to believe, because there's no action even taken. Like, I do not hate people who are fans of my music. I do not hate children. Like, that is crazy. I'm sorry to the mother and child that someone was assuming something, that you would do something, and that if you felt uncomfortable, that makes me really sad. You did not deserve that.
I'm just going to say this. I don't believe her, because her first statement, she clearly defended the fact that she felt like she needed to have her boundaries protected. So the fact that she's doubling down and not even apologizing either. I watched the video. She did not apologize in this video. So to me, I think that we can all, let's say, what's the word? I can't say for a fact that she is lying. That is not on me. That is speculation. But my speculation is that she is lying. She clearly knew the situation, as she stated in her original, post addressing the situation. And the fact that she really didn't even apologize either, she's just dodging accountability. Yeah, that was the clip. Again, you decide if you believe her. I don't. I think like you can tell in the video she's full of shit in my opinion. So yeah. So we're gonna end off on this. Thank you all for watching. I love my fans so much. I just like I don't imagine a world where I would do this to somebody. I just think I just wouldn't do that. But yeah, this is Detective Drizzleboy. Thank you for listening to my analysis. Let's roll this last clip, and I'll see y'all later.
Thank you to my crew and my security and my band and everyone behind the scenes. This takes a lot of people, so thank you.